Hey, Mr. Wiedemer here for Mr. Wiedemer's History. We continue on to the Great Depression New Deal. We look at 9.4. FDR takes control. Alright, FDR's famous quote, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." 9.4 objective, you guys will be able to assess how FDR dealt with the Great Depression in his New Deal. Great Depression? New Deal with it. Now, Roosevelt was a strong leader, and he promised the nation will endure as it always has endured. And with his election, it proved that people wanted more government in their lives, and especially economically. And Roosevelt, admittedly, didn't know what the New Deal actually was, because when he became president, it grew into something larger than he could ever imagine. He campaigned on a New Deal for America, right? And what it became was a massive, huge government, basically takeover, and government was in everything, and that's why I got a lot of critics. We'll talk about that next time. A lot of critics of Roosevelt and the New Deal, calling it socialism. Big government was here and here to stay. And Roosevelt was president for 12 years, the longest reigning president ever. He was elected 4 times. He died in office on his 4th term, and Vice President Truman took over. But 4 times. This guy was so awesome. They had to make a constitutional amendment so no one could become president this long again. It was an unwritten law, that Washington had 2 terms. You get 2 terms. No one thought that someone actually get more than that, and Roosevelt was it, the one and only 12-year president of the United States. At 21, age 39, he was stricken with polio. He made paralyzed from waist down. He did everything he could to, when he's out in the public, to not, look paralyzed by having braces. People hold him up. Anything and everything, because he could not look weak in public eye. Roosevelt's a master politician. A nation wanted greater involvement by the government in the economy. It was shown by the election of FDR. His greatest strength is his warm and understanding approach to people. He knew people. He got people. He related to people. And people would tune on the radio, and these called fireside chats, where he would explain the nation's problems and how the New Deal was going to fix the nation's woes. And so these fireside chats, people would sit down and listen to the president speak. And it was comforting. It gave them hope in a sense that things were going to get better. Because remember, they just want to get better, better. So Hoover isolated himself. But Roosevelt was there for the people. He was a man of the people. Roosevelt had a progressive approach to solve Americans' problems. He's going to do whatever it takes. And that means big government. Roosevelt equals big government. Right? And the action was best than inaction. Hoover was very inactive. It's going to fix itself. You'll be alright. Things will get better. Roosevelt was like, you know what? We got to take charge. Government is going to get in the lives of the people and fix the problem. Fix the Great Depression. So he's going to get a group of people called the Brain Trust. And these people weren't just his friends. These people were from all walks of life. You're going to get attorneys, scientists, economists, politicians. People from all walks of life get together, see what are we going to do to fix this problem. Alright, out pops, what the New Deal became. Okay, what are we going to do to fix the problem of the Great Depression? Alright, that is what Roosevelt's Brain Trust is all about. A group of people going to help fix America. Alright, Roosevelt named people who represent a variety of viewpoints, like I said, not just yes men to him. Says, look at that, good idea, Mr. President, good idea. But people who are going to challenge him say, hey, whoa, I think we should do this. This will work better. Alright, he's actually going to name Frances Perkins a first ever female member of the presidential cabinet. So he's doing things a little differently. Alright, Roosevelt's in charge. Things are changing. The government's getting big. Alright, you remember that big government, Roosevelt. Alright, but the one advisor Roosevelt relied on most was his cousin, his wife, both actually, Eleanor Roosevelt. So, FDR is actually a cousin to Teddy Roosevelt as well. And so Eleanor Roosevelt, don't let anybody make you feel inferior beside yourself. And so, no one can make you feel inferior beside yourself. There you go. There's the quote for you for Eleanor Roosevelt. She was his eyes and ears out in the public. She's right there on the streets. She can go where the president could not go. His hindrance with his polio. So she was the eyes and ears. She'd come, really advise him to what the people needed. And so she was very, very big help for FDR. Helping the women, the poor, the underprivileged, the African Americans. She went down into the grime, into the muck, and reported and helped the people out. Right? FDR, his advisors believed that decisive and swift action was needed to take to conquer this Great Depression. Okay, the government needed to intervene to help the welfare of the nation. The nation was sick. The nation was in this dire straits. And Roosevelt's job, the government's job, was to expand, get bigger, and help out the welfare of the nation. Alright, so we'll call it the New Deal. The first New Deal. People, they lost faith in the banks. The banking panics, the bank runs, banks put all their money in the stock markets. This is not a good time for the banks. Alright, so the first fireside chat, FDR explained that only healthy banks reopen. He told people to invest in the banks again. And people listened to him because Roosevelt was the voice of the people. Roosevelt had this calm and endearing voice that, you know what, things are going to be alright. We can get through this. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Let's not fear the Great Depression. Let's make something of ourselves. Let's change. Let's get better. And so the bank crisis is going to end. Roosevelt's doing a good job here. And Roosevelt's famous for the first 100 days. Now, Roosevelt got more than 100 days done than Congress has in the last 4 years. In, this Congress. And, that's kind of bad. Congress today takes, past 30 bills in 4 years. 30 bills in a year. Excuse me. And Roosevelt, in his Congress, could pass 15 bills in 100 days. Alright? Things were getting done. Things needed to get done, and they were getting done. Alright? It was rare for a president this much support. But they're all working together to solve the nation's problems. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. Government's going to work together to get things done. In the first 100 days, 15 bills, government is expanding. Remember, Roosevelt, big government, New Deal. And there's nothing to do but meet each day's troubles as they come. Take it one day at a time, one step at a time. We're going to take this Great Depression head on, and we're going to New Deal with it. Oh, well, there it is. All right? We're going to set up a series of laws. We're going to attack the Great Depression all at one time. We're just going to grab the bull by its horns, not let go, and we're going to take the Great Depression down with the New Deal. All right, what is a New Deal, you must ask? All right, New Deal's 3 purposes. Relief, recovery, reform. Relief, recovery, reform. Relief, recovery, reform. Don't forget it. Relief, recovery, reform. We're going to recover from the Great Depression. Relief for its victims. And reform for the economic systems of the country. So relief, recovery, reform. Relief, recovery, reform. Do not forget that, because it is very important. Relief, recovery, reform. Relief, recovery, reform. Alright, so from 1922 1935, the dominating goals of the administration were recovery and relief. Alright, the first New Deal, the president and his advisors thought that a series of temporary measures could get the economy moving again. We're going to grab the bull by his horns, get it going. 15 bills in 100 days. Alright, this Great Depression ain't going to know what hit it. The New Deal. How are we going to do this? What are some New Deal programs? Alright, or called the alphabet soup. Because, WPA, PWA, AAA, a lot of different acronyms for these New Deal programs. Let's go over a few of them. So, let's start out with relief. The PWA, the Public Works Administration, built buildings and highways. CWA, Civil Works Administration, built buildings and highways. CCC, Civilian Conservation Corps, built parks and camps. FCA, Farm Credit Administration, going to loan money to farmers. And FHA, Federal Housing Administration, created the HOLC, Homeowners Loan Corporation, loans for homes at cheaper rates, get people back in homes and less homelessness. All right? It's all about getting America back to work, even if it means picking up rock on one side of the road and move to the other side of the road. All right? We're getting America back to work. PWA, CWA, CCC, very big in getting America back to work. Building up America's infrastructure. Like I've said in a previous lesson, a lot of America's infrastructure today was built during the New Deal, Great Depression, all right, and the rest in the 1950s. And so, relief. Next up, recovery. The AAA, Agriculture Adjustment Act, help agriculture. This is when I told them to, farmers, do nothing. Farmers, go and dump your milk, burn your fields, kill your cattle. This is actually declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. Then the NIRA, National Industrial Recovery Act, we're going to create a minimum wage, 40-hour work week, no child labor so adults can have jobs, unions, very strongly encouraged, and the Blue Eagle policy. Basically, if the business acted in accordance to the government laws, they can get a Blue Eagle on their window, and people would shop there. If it didn't act in accordance to the law, no Blue Eagle for you, and also no customers for you, because no one's going to shop at a place that doesn't adhere to the government laws. All right, and this was actually declared unconstitutional as well. And we'll see, later on, the Supreme Court was not very supportive of Congress and the president. And so, next lesson, we'll see what Roosevelt does about this. He's going to pack the courts in his favor. Try to, at least. All right, reform. FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Company. We have this today. You go to a bank, you see, member of the FDIC. That means your bank's, your money's secure. All right? And so that means bank's not, if you want your money, if you have your money in a bank, if you want it, you can get it. Okay? And so the FDIC. FSA, Federal Securities Act, which created the SEC, still very prominent today. Securities and Exchange Commission. It's regulating the stock market so we don't have another deep, huge crash. TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, going to build dams, to make electricity to rural areas, especially in rural Tennessee. It's very, very big. The TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority. All right, REA, Rural Electrification Administration. All right, they administer rural electricity, so the country can get electricity now, and the REA is still very much prevalent in rural America today. So this is all reform. And so let's review. Roosevelt takes over, creates the New Deal. New Deal program is relief, recovery, reform. Recovery from the Depression, relief from its victims, reform of the economic systems. Help the banking systems out. Put people back to work. Okay, reached out to the public through fireside chats, help and stir and steer hope back into America, and created brain trusts that advise small walks of life to help advise him on what to do, how do we tackle this Great Depression. All right, passed 15 bills in 100 days, and the New Deal was a great example of what? Big government. New Deal, FDR. Big government expanding to help the welfare of the people, to help the people. They needed this, and the government has expanded to the largest size, and it's still expanding today. And so, big government, the New Deal, FDR, relief, recovery, reform. There you have it. And until next time, study history, and got a Great Depression? New Deal with it.